Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Devote Series, day 30. I hope everyone is embracing the Lent season with a lot of prayer and a lot of time in the Word. Oftentimes during Lent, we can tend to focus on ourselves, ways in which we can self-improve. But it's also important to think about God and really consider what God can do to improve us, rather than what our own efforts can cause. And so this really applies to today's devotion, which is based on Romans chapter 9, verses 1 through 33, and Genesis chapter 20, verses 1 through 18. We're really going to focus on Romans 9 today and see how Genesis 20 can apply to the themes that Paul is talking about in Romans 9. And so Paul brings up three main points in his discussion in chapter 9. The first is that God shows his mercy and his true power despite our own human insecurities. For as it reads in verse 16, it, meaning our salvation, does not therefore depend on human desire or effort, but on God's mercy. And this can be clearly seen in a particular story of Abraham in Genesis 20. In this chapter, Abraham and his wife Sarah go to the city of Negev, where a king named Abimelech was reigning. In a way to protect himself, he said that his wife Sarah, who was a very beautiful woman at the time, was actually his sister instead of his wife, because he believed the men in the area would kill Abraham to get Sarah. But the king Abimelech took Sarah for his own anyways, and Abraham's strategy obviously didn't work for either him or for Sarah. So yet again, God had to be the one to show mercy and showed his true power in the situation by saving both Sarah and Abraham from the hands of Abimelech. Romans chapter 9, verses 14 through 15 bring up the second point that Paul is bringing about God, and that he's both reasonable and just. It reads in verse 14, "What then shall we say? Is God unjust? Not at all. For he says to Moses, I have mercy on whom I have mercy, and have compassion on whom I have compassion." This is also seen in Abraham's story. How was King Abimelech supposed to know that Sarah was Abraham's wife? All he knew was that she was Abraham's sister. God understood this about Abimelech and showed mercy on him for being reasonable and just, and did not punish Abimelech for Sarah, but giving him the opportunity to give Sarah back to Abraham. The third and final point for this devotion is that Paul explains that righteousness and salvation comes from faith, not merely just our actions. As it reads in Romans 9, 30-31, "What then shall we say? That the Gentiles who did not pursue righteousness have obtained it, a righteousness that is by faith? But the people of Israel, who pursue the law as a way of righteousness, have not attained their goal." The Israelites believed that their reliance on the law, this long list of commandments that is seen in the Old Testament, would be the key to their salvation. However, it is their lack of belief in Christ that is preventing them from obtaining that salvation, and it is the one thing that Paul is anguishing over in this whole chapter of Romans. It was not Abraham's actions about lying about Sarah for being his sister that saved him from the king. It was truly all God that provided that salvation to Abraham, Sarah, and even King Abimelech, allowing his household to grow. So as we push on to this Lent season and think about God and his role in our salvation, let us truly understand that it is him who shows us his mercy, despite our attempts to be pure. And it is God who can understand and be reasonable in our times of difficult situations. And it is our faith in God that will truly bring us closer to him. Thank you for watching this video, and God bless.